Hello and welcome to the Pretty Good Gaming Podcast, episode number 26. I'm your host, Kulkowski, and I'm joined by these two, you know and love them, Mr. Mike Williams.
How's it going?
And Gareth Evans.
Hello, did you forget my name then?
Do you know what, for some reason I was going to say Gareth McKelvey because I'm so used to Liam being in the corner.
Yeah.
And Gareth. You know and love them, but I forgot the names. Sorry, guys. Alright, so this week's podcast, we're going to be tackling a couple of topics. Age of Empires 4, the return of the strategy king, Pyre. Might see me talking a little bit about Pyre.
Yep.
And just how much does it take to destroy Call of Duty? We will find out when we talk about
how much does it cost?
The pros and cons.
We'll chip in.
I'm
sure I got
a few quid, definitely.
We'll be talking about the price of AAA games and what indie developers can do to maybe make their own. We'll also be hitting you with the fact of the week and, of course, the Patreon comments. So let's just jump into the first topic, and we'll talk about Age of Empires. So yesterday, which is the day of recording, August the 22nd, they announced for the second day of Gamescom, Age of Empires 4, a return to form.
Which I totally called, by the way.
Which Mike in the office called. He didn't call it.
I don't like boasting unless I have a really good reason to do it.
Yeah, like getting no.
Which is always.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, I know. So there's Age of Empires 4.
Boasting about boasting now.
Yeah, I don't like to boast at all. That's on the best which I am. So Age of Empires 4 was announced for Windows 10, PC exclusive as far as we know, published by Microsoft Studios, which is just as you expected. Yep. This time developed by Relic Entertainment. No release date so far, no gameplay, no anything really. In fact, the whole trailer was Age of Empires 3 concept art with Charles Dance, who you might know as Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones, giving a little bit of a speech over it. That's all we got. So it was kind of like, it's happening, guys. It's finally happening. Age of Empires, let me give you a quick history lesson, all right? And we'll drop off and see if we can find some times here where we've played them. Age of Empires is a real-time strategy game first developed in 1997 by Ensemble Studios and published by Microsoft. The first game came out and Rise of Rome expansion came out a year later. Huge success. Over 5 of the games in the series have sold 1 million copies. Age of Empires, the first one, sold 3 million copies in its first year. Isn't that nice? It was followed by Age of Empires 2 in 1999. One of the biggest RTS
it's the daddy, isn't it? Age of Empires 2 is like, if you reel off any list of best ever PC games, full stop, that'll be on there for sure.
Yeah, it was hugely popular, like a 92 on Metacritic, right? This is like the big one. Command and Conquer was the king at the time, and then this was stomping everywhere. It was on a PS2. It came out on like those like Nokia N-Gages and all that. It was everywhere, man.
Nokia N-Gages.
Can you remember them? Can you remember that fad?
What a reference.
Yeah. So that was a good one. And then it was followed by Age of Mythology, a little bit of a spin-off. My favourite strategy game I ever played, actually. Age of Empires 3 was the last main one in the series in 2005. So this is something 12 years ago, right? There's been a couple of spin-offs like Age of Empires Online, and they've done a HD remake of the second one.
Yeah, which they did a lovely job. It looks very nice, and it just holds up really well as far as gameplay goes. Until
now. Age of Empires 4. Different developer this time, Relic Entertainment. So let's just get straight into that, because obviously all of the ones I've mentioned were made by Ensemble, who went on to make Halo Wars for Bungie. Bungie loved them so much that they called them awesome-tastic, which is a cringy quote of the day.
Word now.
And
Jeremy Jones.
But this is a different game developer altogether, Relic. But they're not just some little rookie that's come out of the woodwork, are they, Mike? Oh no, they're veterans. You've played a lot of their games.
They know what they're doing. Yeah, but people have been divided over this news, haven't they? Of Relic making Age of Empires. Some people are excited. I think it's great. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Relic are a solid studio. They know exactly what they're doing with strategy games. They've got a long history. They made Homeworld, if Age of Empires is like the RTS game, then Homeworld is the space combat strategy game. Like, that is how you make a nice space strategy game with, big spaceships and stuff. Yeah, they did that, and they're the kings of that.
Exactly. Guys, you've been playing strategy games for like years and years, and company heroes and all that, don't you? Like, so they're not like nobodies, right?
Definitely exactly. I think everybody's, interested. Who's interested in strategy may have played one of their games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they've got a good track record, right? And the thing that seems to be causing a little bit of concern is that they don't stick to the formula, which you could argue is innovative, but people want a game and then they want a sequel to be exactly the same game, but better. Like Age of Empires, in fact, that was one of the bar setters because the second one came out, trashed the first one. These guys made like Company of Heroes, and Company of Heroes 2 had a bit of a broken release date problem. It was patches and patches and patches.
Yeah.
And Dawn of War, which is another Relic game that you guys are probably going to be the most familiar with, right? Dawn of War was up here. Dawn of War 2 was very different. It took away a lot of different,
So that's really the thrust of it. Like, Relic make a great game in Warhammer Dawn of War, and then they make Dawn of War 2, which just feels different. Like the base building is basically gone, so you don't build up a base at the start of the game. It's like a very core aspect of strategy games. And then not only that, they cut down the size of the army. You're handling a handful of heroes, and it's almost feels more like a MOBA than a strategy game. So it's different, but they just do it because they want to. You've already got Dawn of War. You can play that game if you want to play it.
Exactly.
We're making something else now.
And maybe this is the reason.
Like
yeah, exactly. You know what? Maybe this is the reason people are worried about this, because Age of Empires is the formula. It's the resource gathering. You know what to expect. So if they come in and then turn it into like a small tactical thing like Dawn of War 3, for example, people are going to be a bit miffed off, right? That's what the strategy fans are concerned about. But you guys are strategy fans. I mean, how do you feel?
Well, you can see why people are a bit anxious about the fact that their beloved franchise, their beloved game that so much hold so dearly in their hearts, because it was a great game back in the day.
Yeah,
I remember it standing out head and shoulders, and you can see that why they're fearing like Relic slamping their thing on it, but it's far too early to tell. People getting upset on it. You can't tell much from that trailer at all. There's no gameplay, and you can't tell exactly what they're going to do, whether they're going to diverge from the core gameplay and try and make it something different. It's far too early to tell.
Just
so
just
calm down and wait for information.
Exactly.
That's just general advice for the internet as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Calm down and wait.
That's the thing, like, but to add to the confusion and to add to the discussion of it, it's. On one hand, they've got the track record of changing the game, and they've got a track record of making amazing games. So like you're saying, there's no way you can tell, just from a name being said of a development team, nothing solid at all. But yeah.
Do we know of them doing this before, taking somebody else's IP and...
No. As far as I'm aware, so apart from unless you count Warhammer, but that's a board game, isn't it? But
that's
that IP, but that's different, isn't it? I guess. But they haven't like made a sequel, like a third in a game. Like most of the games that they work with, Company of Heroes and Dawn of War, they started on the first one. Right? Yeah, but so sort of caution aside. There's been a lot of excitement on the internet for this. The big announcement. I mean, I made a tweet about it, and I'm not the biggest strategy fan in the world, but I know that this name holds weight. Mike, you're a massive strategy fan, and you were just as excited as I was. And there's two different spectrums there. Gaz, you've been on strategy. You remember the first one and stuff like that, right?
The second.
What do you reckon of it?
I'm excited for it because I don't think if it stays true to the second game, which I played and I loved, if it stays true to that gameplay, I'm on board 100%. I mean, it all depends. I mean, I'm not attracted to a lot of strategy games recently. I mean, because real-time strategy is different these days. I don't know. I can't put my finger on exactly why, but something that might bring something from strategy games of the past, which is this has got the potential to do. It's really piqued my interest, so I am excited about it.
I think it's one. This is an interesting one because I'm not sure where people that won't know the others will stand. I mean, for them, it's just another strategy game, but like you're saying there, it could, if it was clever, maybe invoke this nostalgia and do all these old things. But what we do know, and even people that haven't played the game will know, is it's got quite a lot to live up to. There's a legacy. There's people are expect, no matter what they're expecting, somebody's expecting something good from it. You know what I mean? Like you're saying, maybe they'll tap into some old stuff. Maybe they're going to push it forward again, like Relic might do. But we do know that there's a lot to live up to, and that is the big question, really. Like, do you think, with this day and age, without going too much into all these different amazing strategy games, things like that, like you tapped on there, Gaz, things are changing. There's something that you can't put your finger on. There's lots of different types of strategy games now. You've got the grand strategies, and then you've got ones that are a bit more tactical, squad-based stuff. Do you think that they can stick with their 15-year-old, 20-year-old formula Will that be enough? Do you reckon if they do it well?
They'll do that and they'll build on it, hopefully. If what they will do to make it a success is remind people of what was fun about Age of Empires 2, like just building up a little village at first and farming and gathering wood and mining for stone and all that stuff, and just building on top of that with maybe elements of other games that things that have like some meta grand campaign thing that Total War and Civilization have shown us or something else. They'll evolve it in some way that is fun and interesting. And there's so many things that you could work into the Age of Empires formula, like role playing mechanics and stuff. Like they already have the foundation of leveling up in Age of Empires, where you go through ages.
That's right.
To unlock tech. Like they could evolve that and make that a proper like RPG style. Get different technologies and a technology tree, which is already there, but they could develop that into something really interesting. And I think there's a lot that they could do with it, and they could do it wrong. They could go wrong with it, definitely. But I
think for me, the grand campaign thing would be a huge selling point for me. I think you do need these days. The real-time strategy is great, but if you have like a turn-based strategy thing as well, like the Total War does, that was always a huge selling point for me for the Total War series. It's got this dual strategy type of thing. There's a campaign, and then there's the real-time battles. If they can manage that, I don't know how you do that with a resource gathering type strategy game. But
important, isn't it? Because this is a very like Age of Empires. This is like the type of strategy I like, where it's just like you manage your resources a lot and things like that. And I'm wondering, because that's the thing, they've got to make a decision now, haven't they? Really, are they going to try and appeal to people that want this but built on, or maybe they're going to be like everyone else? Because if you're doing a grand strategy game, you've got quite a lot of competition. Maybe they're going to just stick to what they know on purpose, and that'll be a niche. They'll carve that. They'll keep that niche.
I'd be totally. I think that is very likely as well. I think that is. They'll just go for that. They'll tell a different story. The setting looks like it's going to be, like colonial era, like empire type stuff, and that's awesome. And if they make something that's very similar to what they had 15, 20 years ago, but just make it interesting with interesting.
They could even just change the ages up. Like it could go as far as like World War II. That'd be a risk.
There's games like Empire Earth that have done that, where you've kind of gone from like the Stone Age to sci-fi futuristic stuff. Which, the problem with this is that it's all basically been done at this point. So that is they're banking on the name, and they're trying to just. They can definitely corner that bit of the market that people like me who love strategy games, and I just haven't got games like that much anymore. Just give me that and just do a good job with it, and I'm sure that's probably what they're aiming for.
There's a lot of games doing that these days, isn't there? There's riding on that nostalgia theme. There's there's a lot of remasters and that, but not specifically like this where it's another sequel. But the previous games were so long ago that you could kind of consider this. If they did it true to the original formula, they'd get so much goodwill from the nostalgia buyers.
Exactly.
And that in itself will generate enough hype around the launch to get other people interested in it, because that's what you've got to try and differentiate yourself, because it is a saturated market. You need to try and get yourself noticed, and so they've got that nostalgia thing, so that's a plus in their favour. They just need to find a good balance. They need to kind of make sure everybody's happy, basically. The new people to the franchise, and also the old the older people.
And that's
as well.
probably a lot easier said than done. But no doubt they would have had all these discussions before they decided to announce it. So I'm sure that they've got, and Microsoft are publishing it as well,
which is a home run for them. And it's kind of like watching Microsoft want to get into PC gaming big style. They're pushing Windows 10 as a gaming platform, and they're making crossplay with Xboxes wherever possible. All that stuff. If you asked anyone who's a PC gamer, what should Microsoft do to take PC gaming seriously? Sure, they're taking it seriously. Make another Age of Empires game would be like top of the list. So they're doing what people would expect and want them to do, I guess, as well. Yeah,
exactly. So it looks like it could be a return of a grand player in the strategy game, and I thought that was worth talking about for a little bit, because. Absolutely. So Gamescom's on at the moment, and there's quite a lot of announcements, but it's so asymmetrical. Like, it's not like E3 where you'll just get announcement. You'll just get bits and bobs, and we were looking for things. But this is an interesting one, because no matter if you know what Age of Empires is, you don't know what it is, you would have heard of it. And it'll be interesting to see for people listening if it's a game that you're really excited to get back into, if you've got no hope in it, if in the 15 years it's been gone, all your hopes and dreams have died because you're worried about microtransactions or overpriced DLC and, you know, the paradox method. It's interesting to see. So whether you're a fan of it or you're not a fan of it, it will be interesting to hear what the discussion on the internet has been. I've only been on Reddit, and that's just one place, and the discussion's already been all sorts of different opinions. So, you know, YouTube's a good way of seeing the whole spectrum. So it's definitely something that could be worth having a look at. So yeah, if you're listening now, get involved, baby. I want to hear from you. I love doing that. That's my favourite part of the whole thing, asking you guys, to be honest. And a lot of the time, you got some great opinions.
There's something about that chair that makes people say the word baby.
Baby. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
It's the power of the just it's executive.
I don't know what it is. It's okay. Yeah. Anyway, right. So that's it. Age of Empires. What will happen with it? I mean, are you looking forward to it? Are you not? Why don't you let us know? Okay. Well, let's move on to the next topic, and this is something that really is going to be Mike heavy. And I mean, you've done really well.
We
did a whole strategy section, and you did so well. God damn, this is about Pyre, though, right? So let's talk about this. Pyre, Supergiant Games, developers of Bastion, Transistor.
Yeah.
They put out a game. Hey, 2 months ago, well, a month ago. Pyre, action RPG sports game. Tell me about it, Mike.
It's okay. Supergiant Games make a very particular style of games. Bastion and Transistor were very similar in a lot of ways, and they had this lovely thing with a narrator who kind of told you a story, and very stylized, and you know, kind of action heavy, isometric. So you're looking down on a character, you're moving around a world which is usually beautiful, and it looks incredible, and there's a lot of interesting things happening on the screen at all times, and you're being told a story all the while. And then, I was a big fan of that, and I was a big fan of what they were doing, and I played Transistor very recently and absolutely loved it and wouldn't shut up about it, and I was listening to the soundtrack on Spotify.
Soundtrack's the thing that stands
all
out
that
to me.
sort of stuff.
To that for a lot.
It's bloody good, man.
Yeah, I know, you told me. Yeah.
So I was really into what they were doing, and then Pyre came out, got good reviews, and I thought, yeah, definitely I'll jump into that. And it's not what the studio have done before. So they've only really made 2 games, I guess, and then this is the 3rd one. And it's just a complete departure. It's total departure.
You sound quite negative towards it. Do you want to explain that kind of reaction that you're having? What is it with Pyre that didn't live up to maybe the expectation?
The thing with Pyre is, so remember, it reviewed strongly. It's actually got higher meta score than Transistor.
1% more, but it's still higher.
I think it's I don't know, but it's definitely higher, right? So 1%. it's people like it, reviewers like it, and a lot of the reviews did warn me as well. You know, all the reviews I was reading pretty much were like, by the way, this isn't what they've done before, but it's still Supergiant Games and it's still really good. And it's a fun game to play because the gameplay mechanic, which is like this sports style, I guess it's a battle system, I don't know, but you basically have a team, like a sports team of fantasy characters. The start of each game, or rite as they're actually called in the kind of fiction, you choose 3 players or characters, and then they've all got the different abilities, and you try to get the ball in the other team's goal is essentially what it is. Right. But the ball isn't called a ball, and the goal isn't called a goal. It's got a commentator and everything, and it
sounds like
it's weird, but it's cool. That bit is very fun. It's very well designed, and it kind of reminds me of the Transistor like battle system, which had this insanely deep and creative battle system where you combine different abilities in different ways, and all these matchups make different things. It's the same kind of thing here, right? In principle,
but it's just not as fun.
That bit is fun. It is as fun as Transistor. The problem is the storytelling method which they've chosen this time is completely different. So this time it's a barrage of text, and it's like playing the Banner Saga, where you're just sitting there going, reading a sentence, pressing square, reading a sentence, pressing square.
I can see your apprehension now, Mike.
So it's
I'm on board.
I'll put, I read stuff. I read books. I've played Pillars of Eternity the other night, and I was just reading short stories for about half the time I was in the game, just finding books on shelves and reading them.
To talk about it.
It was fun. I love reading lore and fiction stuff. But what it does here in Pyre is they're like obstacles to the gameplay. That's all it is, and all it does is you have to press square and read the sentence a certain amount of times until you can play the fun bit again. which is just isn't as fun as running around the world, which is what you do between battles in Transistor.
This is exactly what Gareth said about Persona 5 the other day, and got into a load of shit about it. It's exactly
it's the same thing though, where you see the dialogue and the story as a barrier to the fun. It's exactly the same thing.
Exactly.
It doesn't. It's the kind of thing where you're enjoying the story, you're enjoying the characters and what they've got to say, but you after playing it, it's a long game. Well, a long game for this type of game. Transistor was like 6 hours. This is 12, 13, 14 if you want it to be. And all it is a sequence of menus, and it's like a visual novel, as simple as that. It's just a visual novel. It's colourful and nice to look at, but it's not, if you're sitting down for a session of gaming, it's difficult to get into, because there's a lot of reading to be done, and it's I hate complaining about this. It sounds like a weird thing to complain about.
Well,
but it's
I
just
get
because
that. There's a different way to do it, though, isn't there? Is there not a different way to do it?
Yeah. Also, like, it's a game that's sports and reading. Like, one's, it's. I don't know. And obviously, there are games that integrate like story into sports. Like, I think FIFA's got like that whole story mode thing. But I mean, if you want to play a game with sports, for one reason, and I don't know how important the sports are, but like if Rocket League had lore about the cars and it had all the story, this ancient car was found, I'd be like, come on, I just want to score some.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
The problem only, like, I was on board with it for like 5 or 6 hours. It only really makes itself apparent because there's a big shift in the gameplay like halfway through, right? I won't go into any spoilers, but after that point it becomes a lot more formulaic, where the story has reached a certain point where you have to do basically this same thing for 4 or 5 hours to get to the end, if you know what I mean, right? There's kind of loops back in a way. At that point, that's when it really becomes obvious, because you arrive at a destination, you read 2 lines of text, you choose where to go next, you go there next, you read 2 lines more of text, and then there's a battle, there's a right, and it's like that all the time. It's so, the formula is so rigid around that. It's like, why are you doing this? Why are you giving me this?
Why are you doing this game?
It's frustrating. And the thing is, you can choose the way it's presented is like the Banner Saga, so that there's like a proceed or jump into the wagon to see what's going on in the wagon. Right. So you jump in the wagon like basically at every opportunity, because for various reasons. But there's always a character in there that wants to have a chat with you, and it's so predictable. Like, I know when I get to the next destination, there will be a character there waiting for me to have a chat with them, to get that out the way, so then I can go and play. It's all quite rigid.
Did the Transistor not do that at all?
Transistor was immaculately designed. It was like, at no point was I not having fun playing Transistor.
Right.
And what they've done, right? They've got this style where they just have one voice in the whole game. There's only one real voice actor. Right, the rest of them, there's noises and like and weird,
ukulele
like that. But it's not as fucking. It's much more tastefully done than ukulele. It's nice, it's cool. But there's only one, kind of really narrator, right? Same as Transistor and Bastion. But what they've done here is they've stuck to that, but he's not in the game nearly as much as before. And what they've chosen to do is tell you the story by showing you the text instead.
If you can think so subjectively, do you think if this was made by a different developer and your expectations therefore were lower, you wouldn't have enjoyed it anymore?
Or if you hadn't played Transistor in the first place, you think you would have enjoyed that?
No, because of the amount of time I spent waiting to play the game while reading the text. It's just bad. For me, it's bad storytelling. And I'm speaking, right, as a guy who says Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favourite games of all time, and Knights of the Old Republic 2. And that is so text heavy and sitting through dialogue, choosing what to say next. Right, I am totally cool with it.
There's a time and a place, though.
There's a time, but that is the entire game in this. You're either reading it, you're either reading the thing,
sports,
or watching it. But that's cool though. The sports and it's so great. It's very fun.
I have exactly the same experience with Banner Saga. Right, I tried Banner Saga. And it's like you walk into a pub, you talk with somebody, you decide to go somewhere for somewhere. I can't even remember. And then like the party goes out. I didn't get past half an hour of it because I was like, I'm not even invested in this.
It's a very slow start, Banner Saga.
Like, I mean, I know exactly where you're coming from. I'm not invested in it at all. And I don't know.
I think what this would do, this might work more as a mobile game, because I played Banner Saga on my iPad, and I was playing that because I was I was in bed, I was in reading mode. You know what I mean? I was ready to. I can just sit there and tap the screen and and take in this nice story. If I'm sat there with a controller looking at my 50-inch TV, I'm in a different mindset. You know what I mean? And I don't know.
Can you see why people have given it such high reviews then?
Yes,
what do you think it is? What are the things that make it stand out? I mean, 1% more.
The world building is absolutely terrific. There's a huge cast of characters, and they're all different and really creatively done. Right. And I was interested in all of it. My only problem with it was the fact that I had to sit there and I could see the Matrix so easily. I was like, wait, play. And I was reading everything. There's nothing in there I didn't read. Right, that's the kind of person I am.
The other thing as well is that the people who reviewed it, they're reviewers, right? The people who write words, right? The people who write words, people who like reading words. I mean, it's going to be attractive to someone who is a wordy person. I mean, you're a wordy person.
I would say I am a wordy person. I like reading a lot, and as I just said, I read basically everything that was in it. It was just kind of frustrating to me that Transistor and Bastion, to maybe a lesser extent, is such a pure, really well designed game. This just isn't. It's a different experience. It's not bad at all, right?
One thing I want to raise then is do you think that developers should stick to formulas? You're saying that you've got
So this is the thing.
Yeah, I mean, should they stick to a winning formula, or should they try and diversify the games that they're producing and try new things? Maybe they work, maybe they won't.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, Bastion and Transistor are different games, but they've still stuck to the formula, and they've made it, both of them, totally different, totally interesting, completely fascinating. What they've done here is really depart the genre that they're in and try something totally different. And it's, all the fingerprints of the studio are there. The music is absolutely wonderful. Same composer as the last two games, and vocalist and all that stuff. The writing is terrific. The story, it's just the story exposition that is I've got the problem with. It's the way that is communicated to me.
Yeah, you say
as an obstacle.
You make it seem like you can see the gears a lot. You'll know it's five square, and then you can go and play. But with these games like this, it's if they try to do the exact same thing as Transistor again, then they've got this other game, Transistor, as a comparison. They can easily write themselves in. This is the thing when like Supergiant, they've got an identity. It's like the Journey guys, right? They did Absu and whatever. And it's they've got this identity, and then everyone's watching every move they make. Is it just the same as this game, or is it just completely different in this game? And I feel like that can be sometimes the downfall of having your own personality so much. This seems like, what you're saying, it sounds like a misstep. But at the same time, people are taking it as its own game, and but I think maybe, and I don't know how much you'll agree with it or not, but Transistor, you've played it a little bit too close to this, and you've loved that too much, haven't you? Which is not your fault.
That's probably what the problem is, to me. And I am a patient gamer. I spent so long in Horizon Zero Dawn just fucking walking around and doing fuck all. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, I absolutely love, and a large part of that is walking, taking in the story. But the way it's communicated to me was just better than reading one line of sentence at a time on a bit of parchment. And I should point out, they've tried to make the text and the dialogue system kind of interesting by making you have to hover over names and phrases that they say just to get a bit more background, and it actually adds a lot of context. So you don't just press square, you can move the cursor and hover over the thing, but it's not as compelling as what they've done before. And that's you're probably right. I played Transistor too.
I think Gaz has said something that the more I think about it, the more it's if it's third, what you say?
Yeah, it's like the third album effect, isn't it, in music, where the first album gets people's attention, the second album, now people are interested, it's wow, this is awesome, and then the third album, it's usually a little bit different because everyone's so hyped after the second album that maybe.
And I just listened to that second album and then went to the shop and bought the third one.
Exactly, because the thing is that the first album, if they changed style for the second album, no one's that invested into it. But if they do the same formula for two albums or two games, like Age of Empires, for example, you can do the same formula as the first. Your first foray into it, but better.
Improve it.
But then the third one, you've got you've just really sharpened your craft up and made this amazing second game or second album, whatever. So you kind of in a tough position.
Be more creative, and then that's where it falls down.
Yeah, so it's a lot of pressure. And you see this again, like Age of Empires 3 verse 2, Dawn of War, they changed the formula, So you can see it creeping through in a lot of it's always a third game will normally make or break, or people get bored of it. And in a fourth game, Call of Duty, for example, comes back and it rejuvenates life into it. So it's always a third. For it, it's actually like a little curse. There's more to that than you think.
Call of Duty 3, that was shite, wasn't it?
Well, no, it was just a lot of people were like going, "Oh, it's funny."
Yeah. No, it's an
interesting point now.
I think Supergiant are still one of my favourite indie studios at the very least. I still really admire what they do. There's a lot in Pyre that I enjoyed and admired, but just the don't structure your game around pressing one button and reading.
Agreed.
And if they ain't words to live by, what are? Mike, thanks a lot.
Give us some cartoons, some people moving or some voice acting,
and some boobs.
I wasn't going to say boobs, but since you brought it up, boobs are always good.
Since you brought it up, yeah.
That was a joke.
Right, let's go. I
wasn't joking.
Let's foray further into the indie talk. Let's take it a step further. We read a little article.
Let's go down into the cave.
With $6 million, can you compete with Call of Duty? Let's find out. Okay, so for our next topic, I want to talk a little bit about an interesting read we just had regarding indie developers and AAA. Okay, so at DevCom, which is like a little side thing to Gamescom, where the developers talk, developer talk, they were talking about the exploration into the AAA market and possibilities for developers of all shapes and sizes to get involved. Daniel Vavra, I think that's how you pronounce his name, who's a co-founder of Warhorse Studios, who are making Kingdom Come Deliverance at the moment, and he also designed the first 2 Mafia games, was there. He was one of the many panelists. However, he had quite a lot to say. He reckons that for about $5 or $6 million and marketing money, he could make a shooter that could compete with Call of Duty, right? He reckons that you can do AAA games for not these $250 million budgets that you see, but actually for quite a lot less. And that was quite a statement. And then he was saying he was a bit confused because like developers of some successful indie games on Steam, like Ark and stuff, they've made tens of millions of dollars. Some of them have made hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. And
he's thinking that these are going to be the guys that are going to be their own publishers. They're going to expand and work out of their garages, and stop just having 10 people and upgrade. But they don't. And he doesn't really understand why they don't. So, first things first, indie devs, why do you think that they are not making this sort of big single player product? Because this is what you're saying, isn't it? You're saying he's expecting people to be making Skyrims and Assassin's Creed, blockbusters. We're talking about, aren't we, guys?
Examples he gave as well.
They were actually what he said. Yeah, but he's saying blockbuster games, and he's confused. He's saying people like Ark and PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds and stuff, they've got millions and millions in the bank. Why don't they just invest in an indie game? And it obviously the world's not as simple as this, is it, guys?
He gives a lot of reasons as to why people should be stepping up and taking this risk, because he says that there are only a limited amount of AAA blockbuster games every year. He says in the region of about 20. So your risk, if you're making a AAA game, of failure is between 1 out of 5 and 10 out of 5. In that ballpark, that's your risk of failure if you're making a AAA game. So it's a risk worth taking, he says.
Well, yeah, he's saying that indie devs that make a lot of cheaper games, like mobile games, and then your competition's massive, right? I mean, that does make sense. The App Store's flooded with games. But then AAA games, if you get one AAA game a month, that's 12 a year, isn't it, right? Yeah. So he's saying, why not? I think his exact example was, if you make, say, 100 million off a game, I love how we're saying this like it's just so blasé. Just 100 million. And you just put a mere 20 million into your game and then keep the 80 million yourself. You could essentially become your own publisher. Now, let's just think about publishers for a minute, like Warner Bros. And EA and all that. They're the ones that are the guys saying, yeah, nice game, but have you tried microtransactions? Have you tried more dragons or tits? Or whatever it may be. And he's saying, well, you could become your own publisher. You could do all this with a couple of million.
More people should be doing it, he says. Yeah. You think of the likes of CD Projekt and CD Projekt Red, like kind of what they did. They're riding on the popularity of the Witcher series. They bought this production company, right? So they could produce their own games now. They're not beholden to these big companies who put microtransactions in their games. So therefore, they can keep a fair outlook on their games and the way that they publish games. They don't need all the shitty practices like microtransactions and that. And so you can do it yourself, he's saying, and more of these independent developers who are seeing this like making huge success out of games like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds,
there's millions
and
millions.
Ark, like you said, that they should be taking that risk as well.
Yeah,
because it doesn't cost as much as you think it costs. That's what he says.
Exactly. I feel like he almost is talking like he feels they've got a responsibility to do it. Like this could be like the resistance.
It's kind of like what he's doing, though, isn't it? Is it kind of justifying?
Well, yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit then. So Kingdom Come Deliverance is the game that he's working on, and he has actually cited The Witcher 3. So you just mentioned CD Projekt Red there. They made The Witcher 3 for 81 million, and that includes the marketing. Okay, because marketing for AAA games, by the way, is shitloads. People spend hundreds of millions on the marketing just for the ads. But The Witcher 3, 81 million, right? He's aiming to do a medieval AAA indie non-fantasy, and that's interesting, right? Yeah. For about 10 million. Yeah. Right? And he's saying so not only is he just speaking about it, he's practicing what he's preaching, and he's doing it.
Half of what he's saying is definitely, for me, could be interpreted as him just kind of validating the whole cause, for his own staff and for his, anyone who'd be interested in the game. Just saying, look what we're doing. More people should be doing this. He's not only saying we're doing something cool. He's saying more people should be doing what we're doing. We're like leading by example in some sense. I think he's I think he's right in a lot of ways about people making money and then not. Maybe they just don't know what to do with it. Maybe they don't. It doesn't even cross their minds to go, you know what? Let's make Assassin's Creed. Like, why would Ark, the people who made Ark Survival Evolved, do that? Why would they think that?
They're too busy selling
making
DLC
money
for games, aren't they?
I mean, think he might be right. It might only take $6 million to make a Call of Duty.
Yeah,
but I mean, you'd need millions and millions. I mean, he had a quip at the end saying, "Oh yeah, plus 50 million marketing."
So plus 50 million.
He was kind of joking, but it's not a joke really, because if to be competing with those AAA games, like he says, you can easily do for 6 million. It's not that easy, and that's where the risk comes in, and that's where what's putting people off. You need loads of money to market your game. To be able to compete
with CD Projekt. They had they built it up themselves, so they built the whole what they are just out of a desire to basically make The Witcher, and then they made The Witcher, then they made The Witcher 2, and then The Witcher 3, and there's such a neat graph of success, popularity, and quality of the games in those three games, in those three titles, and they've done it themselves, and they benefited from the fact that they are in Poland, and the Polish government is cool with games, and they're proud of the company, and they want to support them, so they got support from the government, which not a lot of. The British government, for example, might support the industry, but for a specific company to benefit in the way
it's quite a particular case, isn't it, with CD Projekt? But I mean, with The Witcher 2, it didn't suffer from. It didn't have mainstream success, right?
It was known, if anything, for being a cruncher. It'll destroy your PC if you try and run it at max settings. And
exactly.
So and it had a reputation as being a really graphics intensive game.
The Witcher 3 was being met with quite a lot of cynicism and like little snobbery when it was in development for quite a while. And I can remember they delayed it for a little bit, didn't they? And he said, "We'll give you some DLC for free for delaying it." And people were like, "Oh!" And the game actually came out.
And they gave us 16.
I got it on release, and like there was like people complaining about their graphics cards, saying that they love the warmth of their room after they're playing The Witcher 3 and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, something just changed. And I don't know how it happened. I don't know if it was overnight or whatever. But all we know is, The Witcher 3 is the poster boy for everything in the industry, like done right. And they did this by being their own publisher, really, I reckon.
And being cool.
Well, exactly, but
how fair to the consumer?
Yeah,
bottom line.
But how many of these developers are cool? How many of these developers are cool though? How many of these developers they want to be good to their consumers, and like I'm saying, and then the publishers come in,
sell their soul.
They sell their soul, exactly. And this is what I mean. So he's trying to just encourage people. Hey, just do it yourself.
You have the power.
And I know we're talking about millions, like it's nothing, like just 5 million, just 6 million. But then you think about Battlegrounds, like their ambitions are like, right, we've made millions and millions and millions, and millions. And here's what we're going to do, guys, all right? We're going to make 2 new maps in about 6 months, and you can buy crates from us so we can host a competition and all that stuff. And I can imagine if this guy had 185 million, what Kingdom Come Deliverance would be. Like, you know, and obviously, I was saying this in the office to you guys, you know, I'm a little bit naive about this whole thing. I don't have billions and millions, but he seems like he's come from the right place. This could be the leader of a resistance of indie games. So why don't we? I
think what he's suggesting is that these independent studios who've seen a lot of success take the step up into AAA size studios and compete with other AAA games. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, the next game.
And take that risk. There's a lot of risk involved, and people don't want to put their money on the line. So much. I mean, it's just a natural thing, I guess. But there is another solution. Okay, they can do what Ninja Theory did, as an aim for a AAA size game in scope and appearance, and by all like appearances, this is a AAA game, but still maintain that small independent sized team where your costs are low.
Right, exactly. So you get the AAA, and you just cut the quantity of it, and that's what makes it a AA, right? Because it's a AA game, but everything about it is AAA quality. It's a blockbuster. It's just a shorter one. See, if they had the budget, I'm sure they could advance on that. Ninja Theory is a good example, and this is something. This is if I'm going to put my, you know, hedge my bets on one company doing what this guy's saying, where they've had this successful game, like in the US and the EU right now, as I'm recording this with you guys, it's the #1 selling game digitally. It's digital only, and it's the #1 selling game digitally. So if it was boxed, maybe it would be the #1 selling box game. It's doing fucking really good, and it's making a lot of money. Right, Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice, of course, yeah. So what are they going to do next? Are they going to? I can imagine these are the type of guys that would go, right, well, our vision for the next game is going to be grander because we've got these millions in the bank. Do we need more stuff like that in the industry? Yeah, right?
Definitely. I mean, and there's so much to not like about gaming because of the publishers, because of Warner Brothers and EA and everyone, Activision. They all fucking do it. They all do the shitty things now. They just do it to different degrees, right? Whereas someone like CD Projekt does not, and that's why people like him. And then exactly what this guy's saying is it wouldn't even be a conscious. It wouldn't have to be like a resistance. It wouldn't have to be like, let's take this down. It'd just be like, okay, so those publishers are being wankers. How about we make games and not be wankers? See what happens. That, you know, they will make money. They will be successful. And we will get more good games. And that's why would we not want that? Why would you not want someone who's made $200 million on one indie explosion like fucking Battlegrounds or whatever, which has definitely made more than $200 million by the way. Why would you not want them to then make another game that's even more ambitious and bigger and better, rather than just build on the fucking microtransaction model?
Exactly. And then this is the problem. And this is with Battlegrounds. You know, like they've been talking about maybe their next game and stuff like that, and it doesn't sound like, you know, I mean, technically they've got the budget now to try and make a COD killer. Like this guy said, they can afford $5 million and $200 million in marketing, but they won't, will they? And maybe, and this is something we haven't even considered, maybe they just creatively don't want to. Maybe they don't see it, and half of that could be down to the way we receive AAA games. Everyone's moaning about AAA games all the time.
That's because of the practice.
For a good reason. But think about how passionate games are about CD Projekt Red. On the other hand, you know, we're the first ones to complain about Activision ruining something. Well, CD Projekt Red, even Rockstar to a degree, they're not a publisher, they're a developer, but everything they do, everyone's like, oh, Naughty Dog is another one. So, like, there's a lot of love there to be had if you hit and you connect, right? So I just wonder what the reasons for developers. I'd love to see Brendan Green's scope on his plans for his next game, and if someone asked him directly, why don't you plan on making it?
You could argue already that he's got a game to beat COD. Why would he want to scale up when he's already hit that fucking milestone?
Yeah, why do you need that grandeur? Why do you need 200 million budget? Why do you need to go to Gibraltar and have a look at all the rocks and that to make an authentic experience and stuff like that? You know, I mean, you don't need to do all that. That's a bit of pizzazz, isn't it? That's a bit of sledgehammer for you. But I think we could benefit greatly, and there's a lot of love pouring in for Ninja Theory. They're doing a great thing at the moment. People are still a bit umming and ahhing about the price because it's a short game. It's pretty and it's really well made, but it's a bit short. But what's their next step going to be? And the world does need a little bit more of that. So do you think that we will see more of this, or do you think that this is kind of just him shouting into a tunnel full of microtransactions? He's like, guys,
shifts, isn't it? It's slow shifts over time, and it's already started. Like Hellblade, as you've already covered, he's doing it. He's trying to, if Kingdom Come Deliverance is a success, then it's just success breeds success, isn't it? If one game does it well, they will become more successful, and not only that, then other people will say, "Hey, look what they did. Let's do that." More people will jump on the wagon, and AAA will keep doing what AAA does and pumping their big titles, their big annual releases with microtransactions and season passes.
The industry itself is set up for a kind of revolution now where independent developers can publish their own games, because you've got Steam, you've got these digital marketplaces where you don't need huge market and publishing and publishers, essentially. So it's set up ideally. All you need is people with enough vision to produce these AAA independently made AAA games, but on a shoestring budget, because it can be done. Ninja Theory have done something special because they've proved that it can be done, and like Mike said, this is paving the way for the future, and this is how people should look at it. Take them as an example. This is what they should be doing, and destroying that model where greedy publishers get involved and the microtransactions become a thing, and all that DLC. And
there's a real divide now, isn't there, where that top tier of games made and published by Warner Brothers and that they're just on a different kind of level of behaviour and what they are trying to do to the games industry.
And they all see what each other's doing, and they'll never try to undercut each other. They'll be like, "You'll charge a tenner, I'll charge a tenner for this DLC." Not rather than being like, "You're charging a tenner, I'll give it away for free." I'd just like to see more innovation. I'd like to see innovation return to AAA. I'd like to see people going, because for me, AAA normally is not innovative at all.
It's a business model.
It's a business model. And how good would it be to see games rise to the top like that, AAA games again?
Which is why the conversation we had about We Happy Few the other day was so interesting to me, because they just went from being in that bottom ocean of just game studios making a game, and then they just joined AAA in like the worst possible way by doubling the price, tacking on a season pass, and giving us $150 collector edition without a copy of the game. That's everything wrong with AAA to me, and they just jumped into that category with both feet, and the reaction.
Well, instead of trying to topple that already, that structure, that model, instead of trying to do what Ninja Theory did and just break that, they've just embraced it and become a part of the problem.
Be like Daenerys and break the wheel.
Like the end of Inside.
And that's what we call for on this channel. And I think there is Ninja Theory providing that the roadmap as to how to do that now. They've done that, and all we need to do is shout loud enough so that people can see that you don't have to do what We Happy Few did and just become part of the problem. You can break the wheel.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, all I know is that us and a lot of other people have got their eyes on what Ninja Theory are going to do next, and I can imagine it's going to be bigger and it's going to be better. So I mean, that's it, guys. I don't know what you guys think. Should indie games stay indie? Should indie games stay humble? Or should they rise up when they get the chance to? When you've got the budget, why not? Do you want to just go up there and create your own thing like Ninja Theory? Or would you rather just make and play survival things, isn't it? Exactly.
It's about just making bigger, better indie games.
It's about scopes increasing, So I don't know. Let us know what your thoughts are about the whole thing. All right, so there are our segments for the week covered. We've only got two bits left of the podcast. Of course, the fact of the week,
the main
and the
bit.
Comments.
Brace yourselves.
Let's get into the fact of the week. Roll the jingle. All right, so this week's fact of the week is this: the same primary school was used in both Silent Hill and the film Kindergarten Cop. All right, so let's move on to the Patreon comments then. We've got quite a few.
Can we not just make reference to the fact that
what?
Some people might think that's the best part of the podcast. I'm just like nonplussed.
Many people.
I'm nonplussed about it.
We get emails, we get texts.
Some people say it's like what is that?
Some people just don't understand the excellence of it. I think I don't know, but I don't really. Do you know what? Right, I've got no comment. I don't want to comment any further. I don't know about you, Mike.
Some people love the idea. Other people are like Mike and myself. Just couldn't be
honest. Not even a topic.
The fact that it's only 10 seconds long, it's fine. If it was any longer, we might have to rethink the inclusion.
That's part of the beauty, though, isn't it? It's the fact of the week.
I mean, it's the highlight of my week.
Me too, for sure.
So let's
what a treat as well to hear it. You know what I mean?
That's what it is. To me,
not reading
there's so many highlights in those 10 seconds.
I'm a lucky man.
Yeah. So let's move on to your comments, guys. There's been quite a few. I've got to say, I'm sorry that I didn't take your names down. I should have probably addressed you personally, but there are a couple of questions that you guys have asked, which I'm happy to say I'm not answering. But why? Because they're in our FAQ section, dummy. We've got an FAQ section where we've answered loads of questions that get frequently asked, such as the nature. And yeah, I've seen a couple of questions there that we will be linking you to, I guess, maybe now on the screen. But yeah, we've answered a lot of questions. We get lots of the same ones every week, and yeah,
do your research.
Yeah, check it out.
That's what Jake's saying.
Get to know us a little bit better. You might even see things there that you didn't think you wanted to know, and you're like, whoa, Jake likes the GameCube. Whoa! So let's move on to the questions that weren't the same as every other week. This is kicking it off. Duncan Coltharp. He says, "Great episode, guys. Not that I don't love to hear your melodic voices, but is there any chance you'll be able to add a female perspective to your channel?" No. There is... Well, we've actually... In our office, we have a female, Emmy, but she's works with Gareth on the music channel. But really, in our team, I guess there is a specific gender there. But, I mean, why add a female just for the sake of adding a female?
Yeah, that's a good point. There's the potential to add to our team in future is there. Whether it's male or female is irrelevant.
Yeah.
If it happens, then it will happen. There's a possibility it might. If it doesn't, it won't. We're not aiming to do that. We don't have any plans to do that.
No.
So
yeah,
that's the answer to your question.
Yeah. That's Stephen Hughes next, and he has to say, it's kind of a personal question. He says, "How do you guys feel you're getting along as a team?"
Oh, it's war, mate. It's fucking war.
You know,
as soon as that camera's off, I had a black eye the other day. Not going to tell you through the post.
I think it's testament to how well received our content is. It's testament to how well we actually get on. I think it's part of the. There's always like minor conflicts and disagreements, but when it comes to being creatively, in tune, and like being like contributing to each other's ideas and like making something more than the sum of its parts. Like it's something to be said that like our small team as it is, like we work so well together, and it's like all joking aside, it's a really strong team, and I think that
something you need to consider, if you might not think about this until you're actually doing it, but everyone here has really strong opinions. I mean, that's kind of the job, isn't it?
Different opinions.
We read the news and we have exactly. So at one point or another, or there's going to be like disagreements. So every single member of the team has to pretty much on a daily basis hear someone else's normally strong opinion about something that they're not going to agree with.
You're talking about me.
I'm talking about Liam. I was talking about Liam.
Liam, shut the fuck up. He's always on it. He's always no, but Liam
Liam loves loads of stuff that I've no interest in. I mean, that's one example of it. I mean, I'm not singling them out, but we all have different tastes.
Yeah, exactly. So that means on the flip side, Liam has to listen to a lot of opinions from you that it will be like not. But it's not. Yeah. But you've just.
I mean, you guys like No Man's Sky. Since the New Zealand, I completely disagree.
Yeah, exactly.
But then again,
you went in the podcast.
I told you it was war, didn't I?
Yeah. See? So that's what
Keeps
I mean.
It interesting.
So sometimes there'll be times like No Man's Sky last week. You weren't in the podcast, right? So me and Mike were quite gushy about it. So that wasn't like.
Gushy was the word that I used. Yes.
Yeah. All right. There you go. Yeah. So that's the thing. So that's the hardest thing sometimes is when all of us want to be represented. But we have to all be there to represent us. So yeah, I think we've got that down pretty good, to be honest. Like I'm saying, like hearing opinions that other people have and working on it. That's the challenge anyone in this job would face. And yeah, we do pretty good.
Not to mention the flood of opinions we get from outside, from the comments and everything.
Exactly. So a lot of this job is listening to other opinions.
Yeah, you're totally right. The whole job is about opinions, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and part of that, like accepting how other people feel about it without getting upset, is what we try and reflect in our views as well. It's like
that's why I now get frequent nosebleeds.
Yeah. No, so we're doing great. Thanks for asking.
we're all friends.
Yeah. Liam's off camera with gun.
We're doing great.
He's in hospital.
Yeah. Cheers. This is funny actually, because the next thing's from RJ Sanders, and it's just it's not a question, and I've totally abused my power as a host to put this in. He's just wrote a comment saying, "A podcast late, but Gaz, from one dad to another." As it's going.
Go on.
When/if your kids are old enough, they have to see Studio Ghibli movies like Totoro, Kiki for Living Service, and the Characters, great family movies. So my question is, why hasn't Mike watched any Studio Ghiblis yet?
Whose question? His question or your question?
I don't know. Let's move on. Jordan back. If you could have any video game character, main character or just a side character, as your personal assistant, who would you choose?
What?
I'd pick Elizabeth from Bioshock Infinite. Anytime I made a mistake or did something that made me look like an ass, I could just pull her. I could have her pull us to a different universe and save myself the shame. That is going
assistant.
That is going some.
Surely you'd want someone who's already an assistant, like a really good assistant.
I can't think of any good assistants.
I'm thinking of like some kind of Star Wars droid or something like that.
Oh, yeah,
that
super,
just
yeah.
interpret, talk to everyone.
That's I don't know. I don't
Advise
even.
me.
Yeah,
yeah.
A personal assistant isn't. What would they assist me with? Like, I don't know. I can't answer this. I don't even know. I can't even tell you any character from any game that's a good assistant.
Yeah, who's a notable assistant, isn't it?
I don't know. Snow White from
we can choose anyone, but
Wolf Among Us. She's a good assistant to Ichabod Crane, and he's a bit of a prick. So, other than that, I don't know. You know, Kenny from The Walking Dead. I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's a tough one.
It's a tough one. That I don't think I've got an answer.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
That's all right. Ben,
I'm not apologising to you. I'm apologising.
He did say we could choose any character at all. Like I'm the one who put the fucking assistant limit on it. But
okay. What about like just having Geralt next to you is a bit of muscle, isn't it?
Just for intimidating people.
Yeah, just to like don't fucking disagree with me. I got fucking.
I don't know though. I'd have like badass insecurity. I'd be like, oh, he's fucking so cool, man, and I'm just sitting here doing fuck all. And everyone's like, whoa, look at that guy. He's got swords. Two swords.
But you're end up being the assistant. Yeah, you'll end up being the throne.
Yeah, I'd be like, so I'd be like, shut up, Geralt. Showing him his boss.
Yeah. So next there's a question from Ben Mortimer. I just wanted to address this directly. He was talking about What Remains of Edith Finch, but it was like spoilers, so I can't answer it. So sorry, Ben. But I'd like to talk about it, but we'll wait till someone else in the office has played it and we can eventually approach it. James Griffin next says, pretty good gaming. The entire team. Third person or first person in PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds.
That's Griff.
And why?
That's Griff from Discord.
I haven't played it in a while, so I don't know.
I don't know, you know. I can see the merit in both. I do like a bit of first person, to be honest. It always feels a lot smoother. I play a lot of solos, right? And so third person's got a lot of plus sides for me because I can use that to my advantage of camera angles.
How's that working though? Are you jumping into first person servers? So
yeah,
it's like is there any server where
you could play first person if you're in a third person server,
right?
But you'd be at a disadvantage. You wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But there's third person servers and there's person.
Yeah, there's ones where everyone's locked to first person,
right.
And it's I've had some nice times there. They all normally end up being like a lot faster paced. Like I'll get more kills and die quicker. Okay. Third person, everybody can kind of, you know,
caution.
The thing about third person is when someone's in front of you running away and they're quite far away, they could know you're there because they've got the camera turned around. In first person, there's none of that bollocks. If you see someone and they're not looking at you, they can't see you. And I like that kind of. But
I prefer first person because it's more difficult and you're I don't know. It's easier to I don't know. It's like seeing around corners thing, isn't it? You've got that advantage. Whereas a first person, it's more intense. It's grittier. I'm better at first person, so I mean, obviously, I'm going to be biased because I'm better at first person, and I just prefer the first person.
Yeah, I guess with first person, like
big margin.
You can't look around walls, can you? So when two people come into conflict, it's because you spotted him and he spotted you at the same time, so it feels a bit more fair. Whereas he could be hiding, waiting for you for ages behind the wall. And I guess playing as a team, playing squads in first person.
I enjoy playing third person. But first person is just the best.
And you haven't had time to really play first person.
You've not played it at all?
I've not, no.
So there we are.
Wow. Shame on you.
Yeah. Andy Elliott next says, are you guys interested about From Software's next unknown RPG and Armored Core? From Software are good and they make some great games and they have the rights to Tenchu.
Such as
Dark Souls. Yeah. So we can just
all of that,
yeah, all of that shit. They pretty much have the genre on lock. Next, they've got an unknown RPG coming out. Like I say, they've got the rights to Tenchu, haven't they? So just do it, innit? Just
There's your weekly Tenchu mention right there.
Yeah.
You're wondering when it was going to come.
I had a great excuse for it this time.
Tenchu Menchu.
That's it. It's like a Tench Mensch. Right.
Tench Mensch. That's the feature of the podcast.
Yeah. So
we should sack off the
fact of the week.
The Tench
Mensch. The Tench Mensch. Fact of the week. Jake has mentioned Tenchu in every podcast.
Andy, this Finch, there's your fucking...
yeah, we've mentioned them both this time.
Finch Mensch.
So Armored Core, anyone up for that? Do you know who it would be, though, don't you?
Well, yeah. I mean,
big man upstairs, Liam.
Yeah.
He'd be excited for Armored Core. It's like it sounds like a game he'd play.
Armored Core, I've played a few of them. They're cool games. Whether or not I'm excited, I don't know. But if it comes out and it gets strong reviews, I definitely would have a look at it.
Yeah,
sure.
anything from Software do people are watching.
Oh god, yeah.
So thanks, Andy. Jared Lamb next. Have you thought about being Steam curators? I'd love to follow your recommendations on Steam.
Yeah, this is the thing we should look into for sure because. Just telling people what games are good, isn't it? That's as simple as that.
Well, we kind of do that sometimes in the podcast. People listen. That's what I always found out weird. People bought Kingsway and Long Dark and all sorts of games.
The beauty of that is they just appear on people's curated Steam pages, don't they? So they just will have a list of games that says pretty good game and recommends these games to you. So that would be cool. Yeah. The problem with it is it's a lot of work for zero reward, and that's what the big ones are. That's what like Total Biscuit and. Those kind of people.
Do you have to review them all?
Not at all. No, you just choose a list of games. Yeah. You can give a little paragraph to explain why, and if you want, or just a few words if you want.
It's one of them things where we can add it to the list of we want to do, but until we free up resources to be able to allow ourselves to do it, like the manpower, the hours, or the however long it takes, until we reach a position where we can work on a website or be able to do the Steam curation thing, it's just going to have to stay on the to-do list.
It's something I thought about personally from the very early days, to be honest. It's not something that completely ignored. But
what we were saying earlier about us all having different opinions, so if something got onto the pretty good gaming list, after all four of us would be like, there
would be no fucking games on it, to be honest.
So I mean, it would be a very highly curated list because it's filtering through 4 fucking people, so it'd be ace. But we would definitely be interested in it.
What we discussed, I mentioned in the Enough is this week, like towards the end of the year, we'll have our Game of the Year awards. I want to do this, the awards where we have categories and we want to nominate games for we'll have a category of 4 or 5 games in indie game of the year, whatever indie. Yeah. And then we nominate our favourite 4, and then we have an overall winner. That kind of thing is the same kind of thing. We're curating a list of games that we recommend to you guys. Yeah. So in the meantime, until we bring out this Steam thing, check out our recommended end of year, Game of the Year awards. Pretty good gaming awards it'll be.
Yeah.
Gotta do it now.
That's going to be...
Gotta do it now.
We've said it now, so it's locked in.
It's going to be done because it's so much fun.
Yeah, that's a nice one. So we will definitely look into it, Jared. Thanks for the question. Edwin, next. What games do you guys think should be online multiplayer that are single player currently? So if you could get a single player game... Do you know what I initially thought of saying that? And I thought, I don't want to seem so miserable, but to be honest, I can think of a lot of online multiplayer games I would prefer if they were single player. I could play World of Warcraft alone,
Skull and Bones, the Ubisoft Pyre game. Why the fuck isn't that Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but without the Assassin's Creed? I don't know.
So let's look at it from how it's been asked and do it the other way around. So, is any games that you played that single player that would work well online? Maybe something like Horizon Zero Dawn, an open world online game with loads of dinosaurs could be interesting.
The problem is that they shoehorn multiplayer into so many games these days that the
list isn't exactly
the ones that we think that it should be in are already in it.
Exactly.
And the ones that shouldn't be in definitely fucking shouldn't be in it because somebody's already decided to not put it in the first place.
Yeah. What about proper No Man's Sky online multiplayer? How about that? I want that to be proper.
Red Dead Redemption might be pretty cool.
Might be pretty
Red Dead
cool. Online.
Red Dead.
Yeah,
I mean, there you go. There you go. That's the only thing I think of, and it already fucking is.
If it's a possibility, probably
it already has
been done.
Yeah, exactly. So the other way around's more interesting because it's like people could
just games shouldn't be.
Yeah. So thanks, Edwin. The last
sorry.
Yeah. Yes. Then this is the last question. Not sure how interesting this will be for you guys. What's one specific food or drink from a video game that you would love to try in real life?
Why? Because we hate food and drink so much.
I don't know, because I get excited about food and that, but I don't know if you guys are just...
decided to leave questions out, okay? And then you come at us with this. This is such Jake service, I don't know.
With Studio Ghibli and food and drink.
You're the fucking host next week, so I can't wait for next week's strategy questions. Right, this is genuinely the last question we were asked.
Food and drink.
just so happen to like log into your alternate account and ask it before.
This is from not Jake. Yeah.
Just like does that include like potions and stuff? Do you know what I mean? Like an Essus flask or whatever from Dark Souls. Just get a bit of
taste nice.
Life. You know, it's like a coffee, but times
like Nuka-Cola.
Nuka-Cola. I bet that tastes like fucking
Radiant.
What do you call it? That shit that Americans drink that's green. Mountain Dew.
That shit that Americans drink that is green. Wow.
Don't know.
No,
it's a good question though. Some of that blue whiskey that Commander Shepard drinks in Mass Effect.
Space
Nuka-Cola.
Space whiskey.
Nuka-Cola, yeah. Do you know what the funny thing is? I don't even have an answer for this either, to be honest with you. Is it
after all the hype?
That's why I was laughing about it. Man. I was laughing thinking, isn't the guy from Eurogamer, Johnny Chiodini or whatever, he does a thing where he'll cook video game food in real life. Like he'll bring it to life. Did you say the word
cook?
Cook, oh yeah. It's how I say cook. Isn't it?
You said it again.
He'll prepare food, right, from video games in real life. So if you're interested in that, I'm sure online you can find it. Like he made like fucking Essos flask and all this different stuff.
Yeah. But there's a lot of stuff in like Skyrim that sounds tasty. There's like crunchy sweet rolls and all that
rolls and all that.
Or like Zelda with them fucking magical fucking things.
There's all different nice food in Zelda, isn't there? And just cooking in Zelda in general.
Cooking is great in Zelda.
Cooking. Cooking. Anyway, Kieran, thanks a lot for asking. And you know what, guys? That wraps up the questions and therefore the podcast this week. We're back again next week where we will be hosted by Mike.
I won't be here next week because I'm away
on holiday.
I don't know.
On the holidays,
and I can say the one topic I know that we'll be talking about is like a little teaser: Pillars of Eternity. I think we're going to be touching that. We're allowed to, right? We're under embargo, so can't talk about it. And we are.
I'm the host, mate.
We're gonna be talking about Pillars. We're gonna be talking about Pillars of Eternity, guys.
I think somebody asked in one of the comments of the videos this week is like, what's the name? Larian.
Larian Studios.
It was like, this is game that nobody's covering. Larian Studios, they're awesome. Pillars of Eternity is an awesome game. Yeah. Are you ever going to be covering this?
Yeah.
I made sure that I mentioned to him that it's Jake's beloved.
Divinity
game.
Original Sin 2 and Pillars of Eternity. Yeah. So we're not allowed to talk about it yet, but we will next week for sure. Mike's the host, but we'll talk about it next week. And with that being said, guys, we're going to love and leave you. Jake Kulkowski, Mike Williams, Gareth Evans.
Did you just have a shit in between saying my name?
I pissed myself. Right, that's it, guys.
Shitting yourself.
See you next week. All right. Bye bye.